Alright, man, it's the Kid 315. We back in Atlanta with my man Soul. He holding Cleveland down, though. The first question I got for you is, what made you come up with the name Mr. Soul?
The name was actually adopted. It was kind of given to me. I had a client back home, this cat DJ Centipede, and he's a popular DJ back at the crib. I used to do a lot of work for him, and my company at the time was called Visual Soul. So he would always address me as Mr. Soul when we met up. Flash forward to maybe 4 years or so, actually two to 3 years after that, I moved to Atlanta. And my first big client, Patchwork, was a guy named BJ, who was the president of the label that they had at the time. At the time they had Razkaz, Mean Green, and a couple other artists, but it was the same thing. Like when I would come through the studio, he would address me as Mr. Soul. So I kind of adopted that, and because it represented my aura, my personality, and my style of work.
Okay, definitely. So what actually brought you to Atlanta from Cleveland?
Definitely opportunity. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to excel in Cleveland, and at the time, me and my partner who I moved here with, we had a weekly hip-hop magazine called Planet Black, which was distributed mainly throughout Ohio and Cleveland. And we used to go on a lot of music festivals and seminars and things of that nature. And one of the last ones we came to was Jack the Rapper in July '95. And that was the defining point where we decided that Atlanta would be a better outlet for us to do what we was trying to do. So it took us about a year and a couple months to make that transition, but opportunity and, you know, the music business, the weather, and all those things brought us to Atlanta.
Okay, now, if you look on a lot of CDs and a lot of covers for a lot of music artists, you will see the name Mr. Soul on the bottom of them. But what are some of the artists that you worked with, or some of your favorite projects that you worked on, so people can know?
It's a good question. I think one of my biggest, well, two of my biggest projects I know. The first one was, one of the reasons I moved to Atlanta was to be able to work with the Dungeon family. Like, I was a big Organized Noise, Outkast, Goody Mob fan. Like, I used to beat Goody Mob into people's heads. I was that big of a fan. So one of my purposes in coming to Atlanta was to be able to, you know, brush elbows with somebody from the camp so that I'd have an opportunity to work with them. And that happened. I ran into Sleepy Brown one day walking through Greenbrier Mall. I gave him a card, and my artwork on the card was the style of work that he was looking for his project. And so he invited me over to the Dungeon, and that turned into me doing the official Dungeon family logo, as well as work for Sleepy Brown and other Organized Noise Dungeon family members. So that was one. And then the other one would be my other, like, favorite group growing up was UGK. Like, my best friend Corey, he always had the fresh music, so that's really where I got my music taste from, and he put me on the UGK, and was UGK fans since day one, and I had an opportunity to work closely with Pimp C on a couple things, and I like that. I think that's one of my best projects because that was probably one of the realest people I met as far as rappers go. Like, the respect level was there, and it ain't like we kicked it or, you know, did a lot of shit like that, but, you know, he respected my hustle and he respected my work, and through him is how I ended up getting hooked up with Trill Entertainment, who at the time had Lil Boosie and Webby, and I did all their preliminary projects, Boosie's Gangsta Music, Boosie and Webby's Gangsta Music, Ghetto Stories, Boosie Badass, Savage Life 1 and 2. So through Pimp C, I got an opportunity to, you know, work on projects that, you know, made it to the national market. So Dungeon Family and Pimp C.
And I also saw that you just did some designs for Beats by Dre. How big of a project was that for you, or how excited were you that they reached out to you for those projects?
Actually, I think an opportunity like that is always exciting, but that opportunity came from a 10-year relationship. You know what I'm saying? One of my partners had got a marketing job around February, and I've been working with him for my homeboy GW. I've been working with him for at least a decade. So once he got the position, he told me that when he had an opportunity for me, he was going to shoot it to me. So that turned into June, from February to June. In June, he kind of put together the Beats by Dre. He helped put together the Beats by Dre and Chief Keef deal because he's from Chicago. So what he did is he came to me with his concepts for this this Chief Keef line of headphones, and I put together some mock-ups for him to present. And then from that, they gave me Nas. I did Nas's Life is Good, a custom set for that. I did a set for the United States, the 2012 USA Olympic basketball team. I'm working on 5 custom sets for RG3 from the Washington Redskins right now. So it's a couple other projects that have come through that, but you know, that's just the results of staying dedicated, being persistent, and grinding for the past 20 years.
Definitely. And 20 years, that's a long time. That's a very long time.
I look young, but I'm an old school cat.
Another thing that I got for you is a lot of artists, they actually don't like to pay for quality. A lot of artists, they like to get around or pay as less as they can for like they want quality work, but they really don't want to pay for the quality work.
Right.
So is there something that you ran into that showed that, or do you try to stay away from that?
I mean, I run into it all the time. People say I'm too expensive all the damn time, and I would probably be working on a lot more projects if I wasn't too expensive. But one of the things I learned when I first moved here was that I can't do everything, and all money ain't good money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So in that learning session, I just tried to focus on my craft, make sure I produced the best quality work that was different from what everybody else did, and not oversaturate myself with that work so that I can keep a unique price range, so to speak. So when people do come to me, they've seen the quality of work that I do, and they don't mind paying what I charge, you know what I'm saying, because they know what they're going to get. So, you know, I mean, services is just like fast food. You can go to Benihana and eat good, or you can go to, you know, Panda Express. You know what I'm saying? Like, It's 2 different levels of food. Both of them will satisfy your need, but you got to realize and look at what you want to put in your body. So it's the same thing when you're getting a tattoo. You can go get a tattoo for $20, or you can go get a masterpiece for $2,000. And you can decide what the difference is going to be in that yourself. And it's the same thing with graphic design. You know, so I really don't worry about what everybody else do, because I've created a niche and a lane for my style of work, my look and feel on how things should be perceived visually, and people, I'm fortunate and blessed that people pay me for that.
Definitely. I feel that 100%. Another thing that I got for you. Now, graphic design is something that's kinda, I'm not gonna say overlooked totally, but kinda, because you're not always in the spotlight.
Right.
So you actually work with a lot of big artists, but a lot of people don't know or can't see it because they don't see you on the camera, they don't see you on the videos. Right. So what do you think about that?
I mean, it's twofold. It has a lot to do with who I am as an individual. Like, I'm not a you need to know me type of person, you know, unless you got a reason to know me. Yeah. So I don't really project or put myself out like that. It's not like I'm an artist, like on a microphone, and I need to be seen.
Right.
So a lot of my work comes through my relationships with people, word of mouth and referrals, and those go a lot further. Like, I was introduced to Pimp C through somebody I was doing community work with. I was introduced to Trill Entertainment through Pimp C.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I was introduced through Sleepy Brown. I was introduced to the rest of Organized Noise. So these are all relationships, you know. But people know my work. That's what's most important. Know what I do and how I do it. And everything else is secondary for me, you know. At some point, you know, you have to make a decision what you doing it all for. Is it to be seen, or is it to do quality work and to make money? So we all have as humans, we all have the innate necessity of having our ego stroked and satisfied. Yeah. And I get that, but you know, it's just not required like the next man. So I'm just happy we're doing a great job for whoever comes to me to pay me for my services. And you'll see my logo and my name on the back, and that goes a long way, because just the other day I was in Patchwork working with a project, And I posted a picture of that session on Instagram, and a producer from that session hit me back and was like, "Man, I didn't know that was you. I'm a big fan of your work." And you know, I was just like, I was thrown back, because when you focus on just doing the work, you kind of don't keep up on what other people's perspective is. Like, I know I do dope work, but my goal is always to get it in and get it out to satisfy the client. And then before I look up, you know, I got a lot of work out and a lot of methods for people to be able to know who I am. So it comes how it comes, you know.
Okay, understand. Now, how do you think social media has helped your work out?
I think social media helps everybody out in the sense that it exposes you to people and followers that you wouldn't necessarily be exposed to. You know, I can have a conversation with a dope graphic artist who do all the dope mixtape covers for everybody. This cat Kid 8, who's over in the UK. You know, without social media, we wouldn't have been able to, you know, develop a situation where we can interact with each other. And I have respect for his work, and they have respect for my work. Same thing with this cat whose work I've been following for a while, Miami Chaos. He's known for doing a lot of dope mixtape covers. Like, through social media, it provides us with an immediate medium to be able to interact, share ideas, share complaints about bum-ass clients or whatever we need to do to make sure that, you know, we propel excellence in what we do. So Miami Chaos can do what he does and be great at it. Mr. Soul can do what I do and be great at it. Kid 8 can be great at what he does. But through this social media network, we have a chance to share all that and all those experiences. So it's dope. And then, you know, it has its flip sides. Like, you know, social media can be a catalyst to a lot of bullshit, because everybody a model now. You know, everybody, you know, feels like they can just spam their music and get you to listen to it. You know, so this has its pros and its cons, but I just use it for what it's worth. Much of my social networking is an aspect of my personality and who I am, and to introduce people to not just my work, you know what I'm saying, but who the person is that does the work. Because just like I said, I'm not out at your parties, I'm not hanging out doing this. My connection with people is through my artwork and through my design.
Definitely understood. All right, so I like to keep my interviews short and sweet, man. You know, a lot of people don't want to sit around, look at a long interview.
Right.
Or their attention span might fall towards something else. So you can give out any info that you would like. So if somebody wanted to contact you for a logo or for your artwork, how would they be able to do that?
You can go to www.MisterSoul216.com. That's MisterSoul, the number 216.com. The 216 is for Cleveland, just in case you want to know. And look for this logo. You know, Mr. Soul signing out, representing City of Ink, Cleveland, Atlanta, and all the talented artists in the world. Peace out.